Try that again. Hello, hello, hello. Couple minutes late because I was attending an online funeral. Not so fun. How's everybody doing today? Let's see if anyone's on. I was I attended a funeral today for a friend of mine's son who just graduated high school, was entering a prestigious college, and instead committed suicide. He's from Chicago, where I used to live, and he used to babysit for me, for Trey. And it just has rocked me to my core. I think it's too common these days. I think COVID fucked us all up so good. And I couldn't help but think about the statistic for adoptees who are more likely to commit suicide, 4 times more likely than non-adoptees. And, so of course, I had a hard conversation with my son and talking to him about feelings of wanting to hurt yourself and promising to tell me if he ever has those feelings and making me look me in the eye. And it's hard to have those conversations. I thought about not telling him at all. And yet, he's over the age where I can't hide hard and sad and tragic things from him anymore. Like, I can't protect him. When he was growing up, I'd never put on the news in the same room as him. But we need to have these hard conversations. And adoption is full of them. But going back to this idea of suicide, I don't know, because I don't know that there's been any recent studies, if it has more to do with adoptees who were in closed adoptions and don't have a good sense of identity and have lived really isolated from, and not knowing a whole lot about their bio family versus in open adoptions. I don't know if there's a correlation. I can't help but think there might be. But, when we throw out these statistics and we talk a lot about trauma in adoptees, that's the worst, right? That can happen. That's the worst. But if you think about the mental health issues that their birth mothers are suffering, so some of it is genetic. Mental health is very prevalent, mental health issues in adoptees. Some of it is genetic. Some of it starts with with attachment or the loss of attachment, and that initial trauma that they carry with them. It is real. We need to pay attention to it. We need to have hard conversations. And for those of you who just joined, I am bringing this up because I was just unfortunately attended a funeral online of a friend of mine who just lost her son right after he graduated high school from suicide. And He was somebody I knew closely. So it just rocked me to my core, and I couldn't help but think about that and the correlation. This had nothing to do with adoption. He was not an adoptee, but it just got me thinking that we have to know what's going on in our kids' lives. We have to monitor, we have to have hard conversations, and we cannot shy away from them. They're called hard conversations for a reason. They're hard. That's not what I had hoped to come on and talked about, but it's definitely relevant. One of the things I did want to bring up is the wait, right? So the wait from match until signing, I believe, is the hardest part of the adoption process pre-adoption, bringing home the baby. It gets harder. It gets harder in later years. And everyone deals with that part differently. I mean, I know you think that waiting to be matched is like the hardest part, but I don't think that's the hardest part. But in any case, wherever you are in your waiting journey, if that's what you're doing, everybody handles it differently. Some people are really impatient. Some people get angry and want to start pointing fingers and placing blame. Some people feel really broken. Some people hold on to hope and just stay really positive the whole time and just know that it's part of their journey, and when their time comes, it will come. I've mentioned before, if you've been following me, that every month we have, or every 2 months, something like that, we have these virtual play dates for our new families who just adopted within the last month or two. And we share stories and we talk about some of the biggest ahas or what they would tell somebody just starting. And inevitably, somebody brings up, I think, the biggest aha, the biggest piece of advice I would give is to just trust in the process. Trust in everything that happens in your journey, which will lead you to where you are supposed to be. One of the women that was on there, one of the new mamas, she went through 2 failed adoptions, and it was hard. Talk about broken. She felt broken for sure. And then she kind of turned it around and said, well, maybe this is helping me create space for multiples. And then she got matched with a woman with a baby born. The baby was a few months older. And the birth mom who chose her was also pregnant with that child's sibling. And the deal was whoever adopted her current child, she wanted somebody that was also open to adopting the baby that was on its way. So, she just looks at it now and said, we went through a lot of pain and it took a long time, but here's our why. Here's our why. So if you're in that wait, try to keep hopeful and try to trust that it's all going to work out the way it's supposed to work out for you. Who's in the wait? And what wins have you had this week? I'm going to stop for a second, take a drink of my LaCroix, and hear from you what wins you might have from this week. We had 2 matches yesterday, which was really exciting for RG. Definitely a win for RG. We were slammed with situations where we had many, many, many families presenting. which is always a joy of ours. And also just saw a situation come through that was almost $70,000. That is just ludicrous to me. How that can even happen. But we are seeing costs go up, and because of everything that's going on in this crazy world, it trickles down to the gas, to places to stay, to labor cost. All of it is affecting adoption. Does anybody have any wins? I'm just talking to my camera. I'm talking to my phone. Talk to me. What wins? Give me a win. Give me a win. Give me a win. Give me a win. Win, win. What else? What else? What else? Oh, my son graduated 5th grade. He's going to be entering middle school. Middle school? I just brought him home. It's crazy. Nobody has a win for me to share? You're all being shy? Okay, then I will keep going. But I'd love to hear from you. We are hearing from our families. One thing we are seeing a lot of is that our families who have 2 or more kiddos already are seeing no situations. Very few, if any. And unfortunately, that's been a trend we've been seeing. The way we have handled that right now is that we've had to put a hold on starting new families that have 2 or more children for the time being. We've never had a problem in the past, but lately it's just trends keep shifting. I mean, for a while, our single women weren't getting picked, but now, thankfully, we actually have one of our 2 matches yesterday was a single woman. So that's been going well, but right now it's families with multiple children. So they're having a rough time, and just hang in there. Do what you can to just spread your net out as wide and as far as you possibly can. Do everything you can. Like, don't just sit and wait for it to happen. And that goes for anybody who's waiting. Like, be proactive. When contacting agencies to get on their lists, how you show up on the other end of the phone matters. Let me say that again. When you are reaching out to agencies to ask to get on their list, how you show up on that call matters. If you're overbearing or if you're super negative, they can very easily and probably will choose not to work with you. That is not the time to throw out all your grievances or tell them everything that's wrong in adoption. They don't want to work with that. And they don't have to, because there are so many families. So it is really, really important to try to stay positive. That does not mean, by the way, that you cannot ask questions. Please do ask questions. We encourage that. And so do agencies. If it's a decent agency, they will encourage questions too. In fact, you can ask them. Do you encourage us to ask questions? Are you okay with that before we make any decisions? Or, kind of feel out their personality. But the way you show up always matters. So try to stay on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Stay on the sunny side of life. Yeah, remember that song? Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. What a barrel of emotions. What else? Any questions from you, the viewer? Any questions? Any wins? God, you guys are quiet today. Makes it so hard. What are you doing this weekend? I think there's an art walk in Little Italy here in Cleveland. I'm going to call one of my families who is in Ohio, not too far from me, who just adopted twins, or what I like to call Twinkies. I have twin sisters, so I always call them my Twinkies. All right, guys. Well, that's all I've got. Enjoy the weekend. Give a big squeeze to the people in your life who you love because life is short. Go see an adoption competent therapist if you are in the process or have adopted. Trauma is real. Have hard conversations and stay on the sunny side. Have a good weekend. Bye.